Welcome to the Freedom Chronicles.
Definitely an antisocial type.
Only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger.
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
We got a loudspeaker here, and when we go into battle, we play music very loud.
With a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Chronicles. I'm your host, Mike Imbasciani. Thank you for joining us. We are, of course, broadcasting from the Brian Chapman State Farm bunker right here in Southwest Florida. And like a good neighbor, Brian Chapman State Farm is there for all of the insurance needs that you have for your very own bunker. You can give this office a call at 941-625-9998 or visit the office at 2040 Tamiami Trail in Port Charlotte. This is episode 70. We have a lot to talk about, so welcome to the show. The president may be indicted. It got pushed off a little bit. We're going to talk about that. We going to find out who a mysterious lady that you might not even know her name and what her job really is. We're going to talk about her. But back, because it's been a couple months, he was just recently in December he was a special guest at the Turning Point USA's America Fest in Phoenix. We were stirring the sauce with him last time. It's Bobby Sauce, ladies and gentlemen.
Bobby,
how are you, brother? Oh, and we can't hear him.
Oh no, that's not good.
Bobby,
all right,
we can hear you. How are you?
I am well. Glad to be back. Glad you're able to hear me.
Awesome. So how have things been going? You since you've been on, you did that Turning Point USA event, the America Fest. Tell us all about that, who you ran into, and what you're trying to get across to people when you go to events like that.
Yeah, so we spend so much time behind the camera that it's really helpful to see people in real life and interact with them, engage with them. And it's kind of like when you go to an industry event for whatever your business sector is. You meet the people that are on the other side of the email chain. You meet the people that are on the other side of the transaction, and you get to see kind of a behind the curtains look of the inner workings of kind of what all of you are advancing towards. So Turning Point events to me are kind of like the more youthful, energetic, and media-focused side of politics to complement kind of like the CPAC side of politics, which I think most people kind of think is all of politics. There's more people wearing suits and whatnot to CPAC vying for your vote at an upcoming election, whereas at Turning Point, it's a lot of like young kids, young creators, people that are getting involved in the movement, so to speak, and then a lot of media personalities. So it's kind of more, I guess you could say, not political people that play in this political sphere. So it's a good refresher, and it reminds you that that in a lot of ways the youth will be okay so long as they don't keep advancing forward without people like that resisting it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and I think, like you said, when you're just talking to a camera and you have those people that you're reaching online, it's nice to have a place that you can actually. It's like what became of MegaCon and Comic-Con. You have all these conventions for no matter what it is, film, TV, and now politics. That it's not CPAC. It's not even necessarily smaller, because I think Turning Point USA is a huge thing, and it's growing every day. And the young people being involved is growing every day, so it's nice that you can actually see people face to face and get more done that way.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more approachable than CPAC is. So I've gone to multiple Turning Point events, and I've been to CPAC, and CPAC seemed kind of like what you would think a political event would be, whereas the Turning Point event almost was like a concert in a way. It was more of there was more social component to it than CPAC was.
CPAC used to be.
Yeah.
Right. CPAC used to be that when it first started, and it's just like you say, it's just evolved into this kind of a stuffy type of political thing. Mm-hmm. Do you see that possibly maybe same thing type of thing happening at Turning Point?
Like, are the suits getting involved with Turning Point, or are they really trying to bring in the younger people even more?
Well, I think that I think that the tough part about politics in general is that when you look around, no matter where you are, it's like there's always money, right? Money is always there. And just for whatever reason, it tends to be older people that have money. So I think that they influence a lot of what everybody does, as youthful as it may be. And I don't even mean to segment off Turning Point, but any organization, any nonprofit organization, it's like no matter what, people are always kind of beholden to the source of cash. And we kind of saw that happen with James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. I would wager that 95% to 99% of every single person that watches Project Veritas would say that's absolutely insane that you would get rid of James O'Keefe from this organization. Whereas the very small, nameless, faceless folks that probably pulled the financial strings there created a mutiny to out this guy, when it's like that's debilitating for the organization. And it just goes to show how one person's vote, so to speak, has this massive amount of influence. So I don't think that Turning Point is outside of that, but I think that they do a really good job of creating a space where people like me and people that follow me feel a lot more comfortable and welcome and excited by it. Whereas, when I went to CPAC, and not to dog on them, but I just felt like I was an observer. I didn't feel like I was part of it, or that it mattered that I was there. Yeah. And I went to the Ronald Reagan dinner there because I was like, I'm going to, rub shoulders with the people that matter. They'll see me, I'll see them. But I was like, I didn't recognize anybody in the room. There was like one person maybe in the room that I recognized, and it just didn't seem like anybody was at all interested that I was there. And it's not about me. It's just that I didn't see people that I recognized from the movement, so to speak. It was almost like the shadowy figures behind the scenes and the people that are the source of the money. Not that they're nefarious or evil. It's just that it wasn't people like me. It wasn't that people that I see online that I engage with every day. So I think it's a lot more relatable to the youth, and it would have to be, since that's kind of the focus of the organization.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, and I just spoke since our last episode too. I just spoke for our local Charlotte County Republican club. They had a Freedom Thursday speaking event, and thank you anybody watching who was at that event. Thank you for watching the show, and thank you for having me out there to do it. And one of the things I said, where my dad said he waited for the collective groan, was I said I don't like Republicans and I don't like Democrats, because I don't like the establishment Republicans that have become so corrupt that they're worse than the Democrats because they're lying to you and acting like your friend. And I also said in my talk, I spoke for about 30 minutes. I said, I don't want to be a part of any club that have someone like me as a member, the old saying. And it's true, because I think it's this club mentality that is also self-segregating people. And even in Congress, when you have the Freedom Caucus, there shouldn't be a Freedom Caucus, because the entire Congress should be for freedom. And you have these organizations and these little clubs that ostracize people. It should be about trying to get more people in. And the whole point of my talk on freedom and in general was, look at these clubs, whether it's the Republican club, even the Democrat club. Who did the Democrats still end up electing, quote unquote, a old white guy who the rest of their young base don't want old white people, white men, cisgendered men.
We got the same problem.
It's true. We have the same problem of all these old white guys.
Had the same problem. Looks like we might be having a special election in Kentucky here.
Right?
Well, I don't know anything about that.
Well, no, he's just McConnell doesn't seem to be rehabbing very well off his injury.
Yeah.
Now, if he's got cracked ribs, trust me, I just recently had bruised
breathing
ribs,
is
so I know how bad that can be.
Yeah.
But the stories I'm reading don't seem to be necessarily positive.
No.
I hope that would. Better.
That would I think that's the thing, is we separate the people from the task. And it's like people like Mitch McConnell and people like Lindsey Graham and these like ancient fossils in politics that are not acting on our behalf is just so sad and dark. And listening to Lindsey Graham go over to Ukraine and talk about how our number one priority is unanimously to support Ukraine. It's just like, you're a demon. These people are demons. I can't stand them.
Little technical difficulties. Ken.
48% of polled Democrats agree with me that Ukraine is not at all a priority for the United States at all. At all. There's no reason for us to be there. Again, not. In fact, it's our fault. It's the United States' fault that we've been pushing Putin for years to do exactly what he did. And it's a total sham. We don't need to be there. We don't need to be wasting our blood treasure. We definitely don't need to be sending our sons and daughters over there to be used as fodder. So yeah, get the heck out.
Well, and to get into some of this news too, the Pentagon said on Tuesday here that defense officials would deploy U.S. Patriot missile defense systems and Abrams tanks to Ukrainian forces much earlier than expected, as the troops wrap up the quote aggressive training schedule on American soil, which means here's your gun, shoot a few rounds downrange, and send them off. And they're saying that these Ukrainian troops include men and women ranging from 19 years old to 67 years old. That's not a military.
No, it's
not a military. It's a ragtag group of people that are going to get slaughtered by the Russian forces. And it's sad to see, because all of these lives are being lost. It's needlessly. We feel bad for the Ukrainian people and the Russian people.
Yes.
Because it's completely unnecessary, and it's all warmongering. But
we can't have peace, can we? Did you see little Kirby the other day? No, we can't have a ceasefire.
No, of course.
Right.
Don't you understand? Defense contractors donate to us.
Yeah.
So they've got long-term goals. We can't leave Ukraine, not yet.
Yeah, and what's happening now, what just happened yesterday and today, Chinese leader Xi Jinping is putting on a show of solidarity with Vladimir Putin here on his 3-day visit to Moscow on Monday. So you're going to see their ranks and their bonds getting closer together as they get more involved, not only with this warpath plan, because any day now you think Drooling Joe's going to stop China from going into Taiwan. He's not. He can't walk up a flight of stairs, folks. He can't walk down a flight of stairs.
Well, and nobody else in the administration would do anything but get on their knees for him anyways.
Right. Bobby, what are your thoughts?
That's the other thing, is that, I made a video earlier today where it's like I wish that people would thank you. It's like I wish people would realize that we're in a global competition. It's like how we're losing the sight of that is insane. And if these two powers with all of these resources and all of these people team up, and then a bunch of other people that feel disenfranchised by the fact that we've been wielding this monetary stick around the world for all these years, if they were to all come together, it's just like that would kind of be the end. And no amount of military power is going to change that. We're just going to kill everybody.
It's already happening. It's already happening with what you're seeing here in the United States. In my opinion, in my little layman redneck opinion, is that they're shifting us over to some sort of a digital currency based on all this green crap and ESG, and the BRICS nations, of which China and Russia and that's the biggest India, picture right too. There. It's going to be yellow against gray. The yellow is getting rid, is all going green, and we're all going to basically turn into a bunch of Luddites who are going to be eating bugs. And the other nations are probably going to prosper a hell of a lot more than us, in that they're going to keep going for oil, and they're going to keep going for coal.
Well, and all these green sanctions that we keep putting on ourselves, and these Paris Accords, China and all of these countries that do actually have all of that horrible pollution don't sign on to any of that and don't reduce anything. Yeah, well, not that it matters. Look at all the active volcanoes that are out there anyway, Ken. You talk about that all the time.
Yeah, 25.
But, yeah.
On any given day.
Right, yeah, on any given day, exactly. And so, Bobby, I think it's really the big picture of all of this stuff is connected. When you have now what's happening with the BRICS organizations of all these countries coming together, it's not only for the war powers, it's for this economic CBDC problem that's going to happen. And yeah, we watched your video you put up literally an hour ago as we're taping this.
Yeah, and we were just commenting what you said in your video.
It's already
happening. It's already in gear. It's already in motion. And we don't, and you can't tell me that we don't have people on our side of the aisle that don't know this, and not enough of them are speaking out. And then when you combine that with the same thing, everybody on our side of the aisle, nay, everybody on the left side of the aisle too, all swore an oath when they took their jobs, and that one American, take Trump out of the picture altogether, that one American is suffering the tyrannical abuse of douchebag Bragg is too many. But you've got the GOP and the left, because it's Trump, nobody says anything about it. To me, that's cowardice. It's total cowardice. If one American suffers that kind of abuse, every elected official and every American should stand up and rise against it. But you're not hearing that from the GOP, are you?
Well, that's the thing, is that I just think that the further that I move along, the only explanation to me that kind of that helps me rationalize why everything is the way it is that being a public servant is a great financial come up. And and it's like starting a business is hard. Making a lot of money is very difficult. Yet the success rate of a public servant to make unforetold amounts of money, and the insider information that they have, and these laws that are being passed that favor X versus Y versus C, and the friendships and relationships that they make, it gives them a huge financial come up for the course of their life. So everybody that's in this fake public servant, they're only there to secure the bag for themselves over the long term. And they'll lie, cheat, and steal their way through it. So the fact that any of us trust any of them is so sad, because we've been so repeatedly slapped in the face with it. And it's like so clear that all of this stuff to me almost seems like a guaranteed lock. If you can convince a person to give pharmaceutical products to a 3-year-old because they decided that they're a girl today, you could just pretty much convince them of just about anything. So the fact that we're going to stand up against central bank digital currency, people don't even know what a girl is anymore. It's like we're toast, because people are just tuned out, and that's the thing that's so sad about it all.
And like I was asking, I had a banker, a retired banker, on the show last week with the curmudgeons.
Yeah.
And I asked him the same thing I'll ask you. What do you think the black market currency is going to be? Because you go into cryptocurrency, there will be a black market.
Oh, yeah.
People will get around the intrusion of government. So what's it going to be? What do you think?
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, there's one thing that's been currency for thousands and thousands of years, and that's gold and silver. I don't think a lot of people have gold and silver, and obviously it's cumbersome. It's cumbersome, but to think that Bitcoin is going to do that, or any of those other, I don't think that I certainly don't think it's any cryptocurrency. No,
they're going to outlaw Bit once they go to art. Once they go the way that they're doing this, once they go to digital currency, federal digital currency for us, they're outlawing.
Well, and
Bitcoin,
so think about the plan.
And all the others.
And this is what I mentioned in my talk to the Freedom group there at the Republican Club, was it's almost prequel Star Wars storyline. It's, the good guys are the bad guys. They create the problem and then offer the solution. So think about what happened months ago now with FTX and that collapse. He was a huge donor to Democrats. And look what happened to that Silicon Valley bank. Again, they're all diversity driven and huge donors to Democrats. They fail, they get bailed out. Yes, what happened to Silicon Valley, like you said, Ken, on last week's show, was again due to very poor management, but because people who don't know anything about any of that see it happen, it could also cause a run on the banks, on every other normal bank. Exactly. It did. And so it's, again, the government will come forward and say, well, see, FTX failed because you see crypto just can't be trusted, and you see these regular banks are failing, so you see your regular dollar and the traditional banking system just cannot be trusted. So we, the government, in order to make you, the consumer and the peasant of the United States, safer and just relax in your life, we will offer you this central banking, one bank, through the government only. Any money, Bobby, if you want to give Ken $5, it's not your bank to his bank. It's the government has all of it. So we'll just say, okay, yes, we'll give you access. We will allow you access. Unless you want to buy ammo, unless you want to buy a gun, unless you want to buy gold with it, unless you want to do anything except buy your weekly limit of cricket powder and all of that. But folks, what you should do is, while you still have access to your money that is of your own making, from the sweat of your brow, you should use that to help our sponsor that we do have for this show, and that is the Local Meat Club by Tyrone and Marcella Jackson, based out of Columbus, Ohio. You can go to localmeatclub.com.
Good stuff.
Using the affiliate link in the description of this video. No cricket powder anywhere near this. We're talking about meat. And use the promo code FreedomCow, all caps, so that they know we sent you. Members can choose from fantastic, locally raised and hormone-free aged Angus ground beef, ribeye steaks, breakfast sausage, bacon, and even raw butter and raw milk. Try, and Ken's
steak wieners.
Ken's got these thawing out right now.
Ready to go. They're going to be in my gullet tonight.
Yes, fantastic. And while you're picking up the 45 steak franks, you can also pick up Tyrone's book, Life's Little Handbook, 7 Steps to Finding Success in Life, which explores some of life's most challenging questions. Just 54 pages, simple and straight to the point. Join the club and experience the difference that fresh, life-supporting food makes. Use the description and use the link in the description and use promo code FreedomCow. Bobby, do you agree with this banking nonsense?
Well, I think that what you said there, it's like if there was a currency, it probably would end up being real resources, tangible resources, food, water, bullets, things like that.
Barter.
But I don't think we're going to be in like a post-apocalyptic. I don't really think that that's going to happen. But I do think that it's like if there was ever one thing that will escape all of this, it's probably actual physical property. It's going to be like real estate. Like real estate is probably the only thing that really is safe from all this stuff in the long term, sadly. And who owns a lot of the real estate? The banks,
BlackRock.
Interestingly enough. Yeah.
Gates. So and Bill Gates buying up all the farms.
Yeah, and it's just going to separate all the people because I was talking last night on my live stream and I was like, rich people don't really care about this stuff. And I wouldn't consider myself to be wealthy by any stretch, but if the gas goes from $2 to $4, it's annoying, but it's not really killing me. If an egg goes from if a carton of eggs goes from $2.50 to $8.50, I'm not dying. I'm not buying cases and cases of eggs. It's your small business that gets
look at Mr. Privilege here. Mr. Privilege.
So it's like all the rich people, they don't care that this stuff is happening. It's not affecting them. It's only making their life a lot easier. It doesn't matter if you're an R or you're winning.
How bad will it get before they start noticing?
Before wealthier people start noticing?
Before the rich people, yeah. What's it going to take for them to say, hey, maybe we should help do something about this?
I don't think that I think that a lot of people prioritize own financial scenario and like what they're like. Your average person investing money, donating, buying stuff in public square, shows like this. What about the people that have $100 million? How come those people are not participating at that level? And if they are participating, well, how come they're so cowardly that they won't come out and stand up on our side, right? That they won't come out and stand. Why don't we see popular acting? Because they get clapped by the system because there's not enough of them doing it. You only see a few. And I think that it presents a lot of cowardice at the top tier of our supposed side that we don't see more people doing that. It's like there's so many cowards and people always just choose to secure the bag for themselves at the expense of everybody else. So the fact that all of us are fighting and they aren't it's despicable.
It is. It really is. It's sad. And it's eventually enough people. You don't realize how bad it is until everybody suffers, unfortunately. We're seeing the bad things happen and not enough people are really understanding what's happening for it to make a difference right now. We're going to take a little break and do our little music segment. We had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day over at Leroy's in downtown Punta Gorda. And yes, folks, we have the video. So enjoy my band, folks. Mike Imbasciani and his Blues Rockers, with this guy. It was his birthday on St. Patrick's Day. So it only took quite a few years. But folks,
there was no monitors. I couldn't even hear myself.
Here is Lovejoy singing Running Down a Dream.
Oh,
it was a beautiful day. The sun went down. I put the radio on. I was driving it leads. I'm running down a dream. Felt so good, like anything was possible. It lose control and rub my eyes. The last 3 days, the rain was unstoppable. It was always cold, no sunshine. I'm running down a dream, it never would come to me. Working on mystery, going wherever it leads. Running down a dream. Ooh. 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 I rode on, the sky grew dark. I put the pen down to make some time. And there's something good waiting down this road. I'm picking up whatever's mine. I'm running down a dream, never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going wherever it leads. I'm running down the street. Yeah, I'm running down the street. It never would come to me. Working on a mystery and going wherever it leads. I'm running down the street. Woo. Happy birthday, Mr. Ken Lovejoy, everybody!
There we are.
Are we back?
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're gonna cut out and come back right
Anyway,
here.
So
we're back. And Ken, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I could not hear myself sing. I want a do-over. That sucked. You need a monitor if you're gonna have a guest singer.
Oh, I know.
Give me a monitor. So
you see the tiny little cubby hole that I'm in that venue?
No, they do stick you in the corner.
Yes, they do.
They keep Mikey in the corner at Leroy's.
Yes, they do. But it's always fun, and it was a great
Always a
St.
good
Patrick's Day. Oh, and we need Bobby's audio back as well. Oh, I love the internet. Internet is so much fun.
I know. We've had more technical issues with this episode than any of the previous. What are we up to?
This is episode 70.
70.
So eventually we'll get it right.
Okay.
And so, folks, help us support the show by supporting the show yourself with a fun donation to Venmo at Mike-Imbasciani _1. And find this show on Rumble. Subscribe to the Rumble page, because now the Rumble subscribers have to catch up to the YouTube subscribers. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing on YouTube. There was a huge boost in subscribers and views, especially on our episode.
Usually get us kicked off places like YouTube.
I know.
I can't believe we're still there.
It's doing great. Awesome. We're almost to 100 subs on YouTube, so go subscribe on YouTube as well while you still can. And our episode with Dave Landau has just exploded, so go check that out as well. Also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and BitChute and Brighteon. So we're getting the word out all over the place, just like Bobby Sauces. Bobby, tell us, where can people find you and stay up to date with what you're doing?
Followbobby.com is the easiest place. Followbobby.com has links to all my stuff, to my website, bobbysauce.com, but all of it's there. Followbobby.com.
Followbobby.com.
How's the comedy going?
It's good. It's a lot of fun. I mean, what I've realized is that, stand-up comedy is a very challenging game, and there's a lot to it that goes beyond just the stage. And as one of my avenues of potentially reaching the people, I'm certainly glad that I did it and that I have it in the arsenal. But like all things, you only have so much attention that you can give. So I'm excited to do some more shows, but I don't have any booked at the moment. I've just been focusing on building up my online stuff and making more videos, cool. But I certainly hope to get back to the stage again soon.
Good.
Awesome.
You got a great set. So
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But also what you're doing here is getting huge too. So obviously this avenue has been a little bit, a little more successful for you.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, when I first started making videos and making content, I tried to do what I haven't done in a lot of the businesses that I've started in the past, where I just made a very small list of priorities that I refer to as my North Star, which is, why am I doing this? And to me, the primary reason, if I get only my number one target, my North Star, then the rest of the stuff is not as important. It's kind of like when you buy a house. This is the example I usually use. If the most important thing to you is the location, and you also want 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms or whatever it is, but you don't get the bathrooms you want, you don't get the color you want, whatever, but it has the location, if it has your number one, then you'll buy it. So with me, I realized that the number one thing that I want is impact. The number one thing that I want is distribution. Yeah. And it's like, on a stage, as cool as that is, and as much as I enjoy it, it's limited to the 80 people or the 100 people that are there. Sure. Whereas online, I can reach hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people around the world, and the impact is more distributed. So I certainly look forward to doing more of them. But in this kind of a build-up time, I think this is the primary focus day to day.
So you're in this pretty heavily, TP USA, and doing what you do online. What do you see for 2024?
Well, I think that I've been lately I've kind of realized that these people that are supposed to represent us don't really, and that the only way that the needle really moves, now that I've really dove in, it's not in the ballot box. I hate to say it. It's really in the general disposition of the people in mass, how people feel and how they talk about it. Because whether we acknowledge it or not, our public servants, so to speak, have to have their ear to the ground so that they can retain their position securing the bag, right? All they want to do is get reelected and keep getting paid. That's what they want. That's what a lot of people want. So they will listen to us, not because it's the right thing to do, but because it secures their ability to keep acting on our behalf. So I think that the disposition of the people in mass is the most effective way to change policy and change all that stuff. We don't need to call our senators so much as we need to call the people around us that don't pay attention. And I think that that's kind of the blind spot where we're always just like, I know what's up. The 3 people around me know what's up. I'm going to just vote for this dude, and that's what I can do. That's my contribution. But what I'm realizing now is that the cultural impact, the individual human impact is far more significant because it's a day-to-day swing. Whereas like what happens every 2 years, 4 years, whatever, is this far and away goal. And then if you miss it, we're like, get him next time in 2026. It's like, meanwhile, we're all getting clapped all the way along. So I just think that these people are a lot more responsive to the disposition of the people. And I think not enough people care and not enough people are loud about it. Because on the left, they are loud about cutting off your son's Pen 15. They're loud about transitioning the kids. They're loud about all this stuff that we all agree is terrible and terrifying. And we're just responding to their loudness, but we're not loud about our own things. And we don't set the narrative on our own side.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that might have anything to do with just the differences in the general disposition between conservatives and liberals. There's a new study. There's been several studies, but a study of the studies indicates that conservatives are just happier people in general. And
we have jobs.
and that, yeah,
You know?
and that liberals
Yeah.
are angry all the time. And when you're angry, you tend to get loud.
Yeah,
and
well,
you tend to get, we're going to do something about it. But when you're happy, you're like, hey, I'm happy. Why do we need to be getting all riled up?
And
Do
I
you
would
think
like
that
to
might have something to do with the conservatives' inability to maybe pay a bit more attention and get involved?
Yes, I think that absolutely has a lot to do with it, where it's just like our core values are like, they're like the opposite of what you need to move the needle, so to speak, in their world. It's like you have control of it's like the most obnoxious people scream the loudest, where we're out here like, I'm going to think independently. I'm going to be my own person. I'm going to self-sustain. Whereas they're like groupthink. Everybody in the group gets an equal slice, and somebody else is the one that makes the pizza in the first place. So it's like our independent nature, our lack of trust in anybody but ourself and our squad, causes us to isolate. And it's like no one on the left comes for anyone on the left. People now are coming at DeSantis, they're coming at Trump, they're coming at all these other people on our supposed side. You never see a Democrat come for a Democrat. They all unanimously agree. All right, here's our demon. Let's all unite behind this demon. Here's the demon of the moment.
Yeah.
And they don't even care. And it's like their cohesiveness and their willingness to be part of the groupthink is why they succeed among so many other things.
Regardless of how outlandish it is, they will groupthink, and
no matter what, always lockstep.
No matter what, yeah.
Well, and I want to build, Bobby, on what you mentioned a minute ago. And I mean, this is episode 70 of this show, and we've talked about a lot of things on this show. But the common thread that we've tried to talk about is you have to get loud locally in your community, understand what's going on in your community and what you can do to make it better. And talking about getting young people involved and saying, yeah, we all have our friends, you're my friend, Ken's my friend most of the time. And we have the same things we agree on that we talk about all the time. I know you get it. I get it. We all understand. I found this great meme of Pepe the Frog, lobbing in another red pill, because it's like the red pills are working. Keep those red pills coming. Today's normie is tomorrow's friend. And it's exactly right, because when I spoke at the Republican Club, one of my jokes was, I just brought the age average way down, because I'm 26 and everybody else there is
Bobby,
a little older.
We are one of the oldest demographics in the nation.
Yeah. And so with that being said, I was saying, how do you get young people? It's not by talking at them, because they already have rebelled away from their parents who they felt were talking at them. Instead, if they're paying $7 for 12 eggs and, you hear them complain, you hear just anybody in general complaining about it in a supermarket, you ask them why. Well, why do you think they're $7? Well, maybe it's because the FDA decided there's some bird flu and had to kill 10,000 chickens. And who's being involved with that? The government. When these young people are saying the government doesn't affect me, it's all a lie, because the government has affected every person's life down to the little minute detail of how much do eggs cost, because they want the control. So you're right. It's about getting out of our echo chambers, out of our clubs, and talking to people on the street and figuring it out and asking the why questions.
Yeah. And the other thing I mentioned on my podcast yesterday is how, have you ever noticed when you go to a place where people tend to appear generally healthier, that you see healthier options in that place? So for example, when I first got to Florida, I remember seeing so many healthy food options and so many gyms that I didn't see as frequently in Connecticut. And I thought to myself, well, why is that? And the same thing, I would see healthier looking people, and every guy that I saw was physically fit. And I'm like, geez, I'm like the weakest guy around here. So you wanted to be, it's like when they set the tone, all the water rises all ships. So what I've been saying to people is, when a town starts by a person putting in a healthy food option, and then that person starts gobbling up the competition because people want to eat healthier. Then another healthy option comes in, then another healthy option comes in, and it starts to transition because people start to understand that there are better things. And then you win as a result of you choosing to compete there. So to me, what I don't see enough of is young people realizing how important it is to take complicated issues and make them digestible for a person that likes what they want to see. Ken is going to reach different people than you are. They're going to say, this guy doesn't look like me. He's not my age. He doesn't understand the sensibilities that I have, and vice versa. So
I
each
have
of
hair.
you, right. So both of you create an
Don't
angle
you hair shame me.
and a relatable suggestion point person that's going to consume this stuff. So if all of us were to, instead of wonder what we could do, we all were a conduit for the message that we know to be, and we were to digest it and deliver it in our own unique way, we would be bringing in people under our umbrella. And the more people that are there, it's like nobody wants to be where nobody wants to be. So if more of us are doing it, it can't be ignored. But everybody kind of stands back and is like, how do I do it? And while they're doing that, the other side is elevating TikTokers. They're dominating TikTok and destroying everything there. And meanwhile, everybody on the right, every conservative is like, that's a China app. And it's like, cool. Just because you think it's a China app means that there's nobody there fighting that narrative. So if you go on TikTok for 10 minutes, they're like, be trans, choose, this person is so brave because they decided to do
and
this.
You're seeing China, and you're seeing China pushing suicide amongst 13-year-olds, and it's disgusting. And it's the power of that. Before I want to segue real quick, I want to talk about this woman. We're going to show her picture. She's standing in front of a bunch of American flags. And folks, I want you to look at this picture and tell me, who is this person? If you don't know who she is, then we're going to tell you in a second. Her right there. You know who that is? Some people are scratching their head, especially if you're here in Florida. You need to know who this person is. Because this person,
she's not a bad looking lady. That's not the greatest picture of her.
No, but that is our lieutenant governor, Jeanette Nunes. And see, there you go. They're standing right behind DeSantis, and that's where she wants to be. She's eyeing that podium because DeSantis is running. And people have to know, what do you know out there about your lieutenant governor? That's what is important to know. You have to know who these people are and what they truly stand for, because if DeSantis chooses to run and doesn't get the rules changed like they're obviously trying to do in Florida, we're going to be stuck with her, and we know nothing about her. From what I've seen,
she doesn't seem bad.
No, but she's towing the DeSantis line of conservatism, which is good. Yes. She's very into cybersecurity. She's on the cybersecurity task force.
They just got a big grant, that she's been touting around, and that's really the only press I'm finding online about her. So it's, I'd like to know more about her, where she at, what her policy positions actually are. And I think she needs to get out to more of the people, because it appears, he has to declare, he's going to declare at the end of April or May. As soon as a legislative session is over in Tallahassee. He's already running, which is technically in violation of Florida state
by my
statute.
book. I'm not running. By my book. And we love DeSantis as governor, but he needs
he's a
to
great
stay
governor.
as governor.
I want him to finish out his term.
I want to point
Jeanette
this out.
She's not. We'll find out.
I want to point this tweet out because Ron DeSantis tweeted this, and it's talking about the CBDC, which good. We applaud DeSantis for bringing it forward. But DeSantis's tweet, and then you look at Jeanette's tweet, ruthless dictator Fidel Castro chose Che to serve as the president of the National Bank of Cuba, laying the groundwork for the Central Bank of Cuba. This 100% government-owned bank effectively controls and finances all of Cubans. We won't allow this in Florida. That's how she feels about it. Great. And then look at this picture that DeSantis posted about it. It's Big Brother's digital dollar. Florida's bill prohibits the use of federally sanctioned CBDC as money within Florida's Uniform Commercial Code and bans CBDCs issued by foreign government reserves and central banks, including China's digital yuan. So good. But and so Bobby, what do you think about? We got to quickly get to our Patriot and Traitor, but about Jeanette and about those type of things being tweeted out.
I think that you make a very good point about knowing who that is, and I think that we all tend to lose sight on the world's problems and not pay attention to what's happening at home. And I'll admit that even for somebody like me that considers themselves very tuned in, I didn't know who that person was. So I think it definitely is I think a good reminder that the federal level, just like you had said before, is not quite as important as down at the roots of it, which is the people that are around you in your local area. So I think that's a good lesson that we should certainly be paying more attention to. But and then as a response to the tweet, this is the thing about DeSantis. It's like, hate him or love him. I like both of them. To be completely honest. But this guy is the only one of the two of them that's in public service right now. And to suggest that he's not doing things that are good and pointing things out that a lot of other governors are not mentioning, I think would be a disservice to him. This is something that there's 50 governors in America. Are any of them talking about this? Because if there are, there's not very many of them.
Well, and he's pointed out with that's a coalition of 20 total that
20
are
states,
doing this anti-CBD
good
stuff.
20
so that's
states
good.
are involved,
and Florida's leading it, which is good.
That's great. Yeah,
So,
see,
yeah,
that's
it
the
is
type of
good.
thing. That's the type of thing that's like, it throws me about, because like I was talking about this on my podcast yesterday, where I'm like, everybody is jumping on DeSantis and they're dogging on DeSantis and talking about how bad he is. And it's like, if there was no Trump, for whatever reason, he retires, let's say he's not the president anymore, who's our number two? It's like, one of them is going to be your number two. So it's like, before we pile on this guy, I understand that you want Trump to win, but this guy is in the top two, objectively doing things that align with our values. Even if you disagree with 30% of what he's doing, that means everybody else you disagree more than 30%. So it's like, before we just pile on, let's try to remember who the real target is, because the guy is doing good things, whether people want to acknowledge it or not.
Because we're seeing this political infighting between the Republicans.
But it's infighting that's going to happen.
DeSantis has been taking all the money from, and that's where Ken and I have the issue, because he's taking it from the normal establishment people who are telling it, the Bushes, Bush type people.
Ken Griffin, the $100 million man for the GOP, is the GOP's version of Soros,
and so they're whispering in DeSantis's ear.
MAGA.
Yeah, he's whispering in DeSantis's ear, "You're the only one who has the power to take down the Donald."
So
and DJ Freedom Rockets tweeted this out. It's embarrassing to see conservatives infighting between DeSantis and Trump. You think you're uncontrolled by the system, yet you are currently being unconsciously controlled by the very system you openly despise. You have to stay united, and he's right. We have to stay united, because the bigger
but not
problem
in the primaries.
not in the primaries. But when it comes to the general, like I've been saying, it won't matter who we pick, because they will still cheat, and the Republicans will still lose.
Yeah. They have yet to address the massive voter fraud. So until they do that, it doesn't matter who wins the primary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing too is that, politics, obviously a complicated business predicated on money for sure. And it's like, Trump took money from Pfizer. Trump took a lot of money as well. It's like, they're all taking money. And if you're Ron DeSantis, let's say, and Ken Griffin, who you may completely disagree with or not, if he's given you money, it's like, what do you say? Do you say no to the money? Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Yeah. If you have any personal honor, and you aren't going to give Ken Griffin the return on his investment, maybe you give the money back. But if you take that money, the millions of dollars from these people, and you are letting the Karl Rove type machine run you for president, then it stands to reason that you are going to give the Ken Griffins the return on investment for their massive donation. And that's the problem that I have with him. He's the establishment's boy, and I'm totally anti-establishment when it comes to the GOP, because as we've seen over the last several decades, all the establishment wing of the GOP does is stab the base in the back every single time. So I can't support the establishment candidate.
I'm for that, and I'm with you on that 100%. And it's obviously a longer conversation, but it's like, Trump did take $1 million from Pfizer. He did hire a pharmaceutical lobbyist to serve in HHS. I mean, he did allow Fauci to stay in power. He did criticize Governor Kemp for opening up the state of Georgia, as well as DeSantis for opening up the beaches. He, to this day, is still pro-vaccine and is still talking about how good it is and how he was the father of it and saved 100 million people. It's like, and then on top of it, it's like, at the end of the day, what's important to me is winning, right? I want to make sure that we win. So when I look at these two people, it's like, is Trump going to convince your Joe Rogans, your middle of the road people, your people that are fed up with leftist policies that are destroying the country? Is Trump going to pull those people over as well as DeSantis is? And it's like, take out the established, with all that other stuff. It's like, if we want to win, to me, that's a real glaring issue that I'm interested in seeing them go head to head on. And even though I think that they both are good and both are bad in many ways, I'm for it. But I don't think that like piling on either of them really is beneficial at this stage in the game.
It's sadly, it's the way it is. It's going to happen. This is the way that it happened in 2016. I think that my problem with DeSantis is that he's running without having the courage to just announce and resign. And I think that he's trying to get away with running until the legislative session is over. And during this legislative session, they're going to change the rule on the resign to run bill act so that he can keep his job as governor, which I don't mind, because when Trump beats him in the primaries, then he can come back and finish his term. I love that. That's what I want.
I think that's good. I think that's good.
We just got done re-electing the guy. I don't want him to go. I don't want the machine doing to him what I'm already seeing the machine do to him. I want him to stay here where he's doing just a solid job.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm for it as well.
Patriot and traitor. Yep. All right. So, Bobby, who is your Patriot of the week? You have a Patriot of the week?
My Patriot of the week. Oh, geez.
I know we're always dealing with the A-hats, so it's like, who's the good guys?
That's a really tough. That's a tough question. How about you say yours, and I'll think about it for a second.
All right, I'll do mine first. So the World Baseball Classic just wrapped up. It was the USA and Japan in the finals, and Japan won. It's a close game, 3-2. It was very good. But this news came out right after the semifinals, America versus Cuba, and USA trounced Cuba 14-2. Yeah, in Miami. And Cuban baseball player Ivan Petro Gonzalez has defected from his home country of Cuba when he did not board the team flight to Havana on Monday. So
I hope Mayorkas lets him stay, because
I know
he's essentially canceled the wet foot, dry foot.
Exactly.
He sent a bunch of Cubans back.
But it just goes to show, folks, communism, socialism does not work. This guy was in Miami. He sees freedom. He goes, USA's great. They beat us.
Well, after losing 14-2, I wouldn't want to go back to Cuba either.
No. So he stayed. He defected. So that's a patriot who wants to be an American and get away from communism and socialism.
Good for him.
There we go. Yeah, I would say my Patriot of the week is James O'Keefe for sure from Project Veritas.
I think that,
I just think that, and I posted when the whole situation first happened, and I was like, I think that the history books will look back on James O'Keefe as a tremendous figure in American politics and really just American society, and I think that he'll be looked back on as a heroic figure that's done really great work that was critical to American freedom and prosperity and transparency. So kudos to him for keeping
with
fighting.
His new venture.
Yes,
yeah,
and
that's how it should
no longer
be.
Project Veritas. It's OMG, the O'Keefe Media Group. I love that.
I love it.
Ken, who's your Patriot, Ken?
My Patriot is this guy right here, Ben Rowlett.
People in America are not settled with the information that's been given to us right now. So I'm not going to be lining up taking a shot or a vaccination for something that wasn't clear in the first place. And then you all create a shot in miraculous time. It takes years to create vaccination.
Well, it used to take years.
Okay, it used to.
You know how many years were invested in this approach? About 20 years of science to get us to be able to do it.
20 years is not enough. And 9 months is definitely not enough for nobody to be taking no vaccination that you all came up with.
The only reason I'm talking to you right now, as close as we are, is that I've been vaccinated.
Right.
But if it allow thousands of people like you don't get vaccinated, you're going to let this virus continue to percolate in this country and in this world.
Something like the common flu then, right?
And not like
it's much more serious than the flu.
Well, the flu kills a lot of people.
You know how many people died of the flu the last year? I mean, not this year,
Ben,
virtually none, but the previous year.
Yeah, virtually none. But David Harris had this. I love that. Yeah, Fauci said that. Republicans don't like being told what to do. We got to break that. And I love this. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Big Pharma? No. Go pound sand, buddy. Nobody likes you, Fauci.
That guy.
That's a good one.
Patriot of the week.
Yes.
That's a good one. I like that.
So I'll,
just goes to show that those types of people, that those people that maybe a lower income person that is living in the heart of a deep blue city can outsmart this little demon. So kudos on that guy, and so many people like him.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
Exactly. My traitor of the week goes out to USA Today, because it's supposed to be about the USA, and this is just sad. They have honored a transgender lawmaker from Minnesota for its Women of the Year list. Democratic State Representative Leah Fink. And if anybody's a Fink, I think that's a Fink right there.
Sure. Certainly.
No,
and it's just,
what do you say, Bobby? How drunk? Huh?
It's dicey. I feel so bad for females of this world. It's so sad. The women are just getting erased. It's so dark.
It really is.
Yeah. It is sad.
So sad.
Bobby, you know you gotta get going soon. So who's your traitor of the week?
I think I really don't like Lindsey Graham. It really bothers me seeing Lindsey Graham on TV. This guy really just bothers me tremendously. And it's like, I'm just so sick of, like, I remember when he was up for re-election and he was having like a budget, like a donation shortfall. And he basically was on TV almost like on the verge of tears, it seemed like, begging for people to donate to his campaign. And this guy with a straight face will come on TV and be like, we got to give everything we got to Ukraine. It's like, you're a demon. Get out of public life. We all hate you. You're a demon.
Please.
Yeah. And I found this cartoon this morning from Ben Garrison. And if this isn't just the biggest truth, the war whores, you got the pimp himself, Mr. Ukraine Zelensky. You got Lindsey Graham, top left there with his, little rocket nipples.
Little saggers.
Even Foxy News there, I Love War, the corporate media. You got the military-industrial complex. And you got even Sean Hannity. It's just sad to see all these so-called conservatives, Republicans, all these people just so war hungry. It's sad. It's sad to see this.
It is.
Ken, who's your traitor?
That would be douchebag Alvin Bragg, district attorney in New York.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this guy making up stuff as he goes along. A solid commie who has just had his sights, his demon focus for years on trying to get Trump. And now he's got to go through this. He's destroying not only his reputation, but the rule of law completely being thrown out the window. Yes. And again, so he's the traitor of the week. But I would also have to say I'm not too impressed with the congressional and Senate Republicans who chose not to stand and say, look, this what you guys are doing is it's liberty shredding, because they don't seem to realize if they get away with doing this to Trump, they're next.
Yeah,
we're all next.
Right.
Everybody's next.
100%.
Yep.
And so I would like to see more of them stand up. It doesn't matter that it's Trump.
Right.
He's an American. That's happened to anybody.
And finally, there was the Babylon Bee I saw. Democrats vow to arrest as many political opponents as it takes to defeat fascism. And if that's not the truth,
well,
I don't know what is.
Didn't they just say they're going after another 1,000 J6ers?
Yeah, of course they are. Because it doesn't matter. The truth can literally be shoved in your face with videotape. It doesn't matter. So that's why, folks, you have to go out and talk to people yourself. Get the job done. Get loud locally in your community. Bobby, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. BobbySauce.com. Follow Bobby.com at Take Naps on pretty much everything. And I love that handle. I love it so much because I want to go take a nap right now.
I'm a little sleepy.
But yes, folks, thank you for watching the show. We greatly appreciate it. Subscribe on everything you can and share it around, because that's how you spread freedom, because freedom will always defeat tyranny. Bobby, thank you. From the bunker, good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
You're watching Conservative Television of America, working hard to stick socialism where the sun don't shine.